All of a sudden, it has started raining here. Hey, you see how before?
Enoch,
Yeah.
okay, colleagues, we'll start now. The time is our clock. And good afternoon or evening, everyone, and welcome to the World Food Day commemoration organized and hosted by the Future Africa Research Leadership Fellows. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this World Food Day 2025 panel discussion held under the inspiring theme of hand in hand for better foods and a better future. Achieving better food for a better future requires all of us to work hand in hand across the disciplines, across the sectors, and across communities to transform our agri-food systems sustainably and equitably. Today's conversation aims to explore how the different disciplines contribute to sustainable food systems and how cross-sector collaboration can drive this transformation. We'll hear perspectives from experts representing diverse fields from communication, agricultural extension, social sciences, geoinformatics, agronomy, plant science, animal science, to fisheries and marine science. Together, we'll reflect on innovative pathways for ensuring that our food systems are productive, they are inclusive, they are resilient, and environmentally sound. My name is Dr. Pearl Fadola. Let me just show my picture so that you get to see who is speaking. I'm Dr. Pearl Fadola from Botswana, and I'm delighted to serve as your moderator for today's panel discussion. We'll begin with brief introductions of the panelists, followed by engaging discussion. And as the discussions are made, participants may type their questions and comments on the chat box. At the end of the discussion, we'll have questions and comments made, and the panelists will respond to those. Just a quick note before we start. This session is being recorded. The recording may be shared publicly on platforms such as YouTube and other social media channels for educational and awareness purposes. By participating, you acknowledge and consent to this recording and its potential sharing. Thank you for your understanding. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists for today's discussion. Joining us from Ghana, we have Dr. Enoch Tam Ajegum, a media and mass communication expert who explores how effective communication can shape and strengthen our food systems. We also have from Nigeria, Dr. Olalade Abdul Rahman, an agricultural extension specialist who works closely with farmers and communities to promote the uptake of new technologies and sustainable agricultural practices. Joining us from Tanzania is Dr. Gabriel Ndimbo, a social scientist specializing in food security and the social dimensions of sustainable food systems. From Malawi, we are joined by Dr. Jabulani Nyengere, a geoinformatics and agriculture specialist transforming agriculture through spatial technologies and fertilizer management. From Nigeria, we also have Dr. Judith Adjok, an expert in agronomy and resilient cropping systems, helping ensure sustainable food production. Representing Kenya, we do have Dr. Juliana Chiboi, a plant specialist with expertise in plant breeding, biodiversity, and plant-based food systems. Also from Kenya, we are joined by Dr. Shamala Lubobi, a plant biotechnologist whose work focuses on sustainable crop improvement, resilience to pests and diseases, and climate-smart agriculture. Joining us from Benin, we have Dr. Alassane Seydou, an animal specialist focusing on pastoral resources and climate-smart livestock system. And finally, from Ghana, we have Dr. Miriam, who is a fisheries specialist working on sustainable fisheries and the blue economy. Ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming the panelists. What a remarkable panel of experts we have today. As we explore the hand-in-hand for better food and a better future, it's fitting that we begin with communication, the bridge that connects all sectors and drives collaboration. And to open our discussion, let's hear from Dr. Enoch, who will share his perspective on the role of media and communication in advancing food systems. Dr. Enoch, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, and good day to all of us. Briefly, my presentation is on communication, and the focus is that I want us to rethink about how we produce food, because it's not only about the production, but it's about how we share knowledge, how we influence people's behavior, how we are able to mobilize communities so that they'll be able to effect some changes in their communities. We believe that when people know better, then they'll be able to also do better. So information is very key when it comes to food security. Now, I'll be focusing on five main areas: print media, broadcast media, animations, social media, and journalism. Now, with print media, there are examples like flyers, books, magazines, billboards, etc. Now, when through such media we promote information concerning food, then people get to know our success stories. They get to have food safety tips when market prices are going up or they are coming down. People get to know about it through our print media. So it means that for all of us, whether we are farmers or not, we can have access to any of the print media channels to help embed food-based messages in the various communities that we stay in. People are enticed by information they see on paper, maybe on the billboards and etc. The second strategy we can also adapt is broadcast media. With broadcast media, we have radio, we have television, but these broadcast media are things people can actually feel part of. They can see the people practicing it. They can see the people cooking the food. They can see people practicing the climate smart agriculture and stuff like that we talk about. The broadcast media also helps to connect farmers. You know, in one radio program, there are so many people that can call in, people that can be present and air their views about whatever is going on. So in terms of food, people get to learn a lot through radio and through television. If we want to change people's behavior so that they can increase yield or they can reduce food waste, for instance, then broadcast media, especially with radio and television, can be excellent ways by which we make our information known to others. The third strategy is animations. For animations, it looks like a lot of times is the children or young people who like such strategies. So now, if we want to influence children right from childbirth till the time they grow up, these are exciting ways by which they can learn about food. They are exciting ways by which people can learn about agriculture, about food security. They can become responsible for the things they eat and the things they farm about. So especially in school-based activities, we can use these animations so that our children, once they start growing up, they can learn about it in more exciting ways, which will also benefit all of us at the end of the day. The fourth strategy is social media. The use of social media usually is about engaging young people. It's about engaging people in urban centers, because most of the time that is where they play. That is the avenue for them to learn. Okay, so the use of hashtags, the use of celebrations that can turn into movements when people get on, for instance, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter.
May you wrap
TikTok.
up, Dr. Enoch? Sorry for disturbing. Please.
There are so many things they can learn about it. Then finally, there's journalism. We want to encourage journalists to let people know about what is going on. They can come to our farms, learn what is going on, and broadcast the information for the general population so that everybody gets to learn about food and food security issues. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Enoch, for emphasizing the role of communication in uniting the efforts towards sustainable food systems. From awareness to action, the next step is implementation at grassroots level. To expand on this, let us now hear from Dr. Olalade, whose work in agricultural extension focuses on translating innovation into real impacts for farmers. Dr. Olalade, the floor is yours. Thank you. Dr. Olalade? Dr. Olalade, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you, the moderator. Good day, everyone, and thank you for having me from Nigeria. Today's presentation is going to be based on bridging the gap between production and consumption using tomato as a case study. And I will start by letting us know that tomato is highly vulnerable to climatic shock due to their perishability nature. And at the same time, despite the fact that Nigeria is the highest producer of tomato in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria still imports millions of tons of tomato paste. These two statements seems to be contradictory because this tomato paste is supposed to be produced from the fresh tomatoes that is being produced. And this shows that there is a problem after the production of tomatoes, and can actually be traced to a weak value chain system, a broken one, or a failed one. So tomato value chain system is a complex system that comprises of several actors.
Dr. Olalade, I'm sorry, you are cutting.
And
Dr. Olalade, we cannot hear you. Dr. Olalade, we cannot hear you. Okay, I think unfortunately in the interest of time, we'll have to move to the next speaker. We'll go back to Dr. Olalade. We'll move on to the next speaker. And the next speaker is Dr. Gabriel Ndimbo, who will deepen that perspective of the centenaries of the people in the agricultural production system. Dr. Gabriel Ndimbo from Tanzania works or focuses on social and behavioral aspect of food security. Dr. Gabriel, please share your reflections. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me to participate in this panel discussion to celebrate the World Food Day. And my reflection will be based on three main points. The first one is how social science can bridge the gap between food availability and equitable access, particularly for marginalized communities. The second reflection will be on how can women and the youth be central agents of food sovereignty in Africa. And the last reflection will be on how local communities can influence food policy effectively. Based on the first reflection, we all know that while agricultural development is primarily associated with economic development and technological advancement, it is also shaped by social cultural factors that influence food production, food distribution as well as consumption patterns. In this case, social science and the social scientists bridge the gap between food availability and equitable access by conducting community-based participatory research to understand and address local food needs. So social scientists will go to the community to ask what they need and what they don't need so that to effect appropriate interventions. And the social scientists also play a role in analyzing socioeconomic factors that contribute to food insecurity, also promote the use or adoption of technology which can help to address issues of food insecurity. Also, finally, social science and the social scientists, we play a great role in developing programs that empower communities, enhance access to affordable and nutritious food, and we also play a very crucial role in advocating for policy changes. Now, how can women and the youth be central agents to food sovereignty in Africa? We all know that food sovereignty is one of the main development threats to Africa. And currently, Africa's annual food import bill is around 50 billion USD, an amount that is projected to increase day after day. So all this happens while Africa has a vast land which could provide physical foundation for growing diverse and culturally appropriate food, while its youthful population could also offer the innovation and the labor to build resilient, localized food systems controlled by local communities. Together, they can shift food production system from import dependent model to self-determined system, where local people decide what they grow, how they grow, and how they should consume it. However, the main problem in Africa is that youth and the women are always left behind when it comes to matters related to policy making and access to resources. So in this case, women and the youth can be central agents for food sovereignty in Africa by increasing their participation in decision making, gaining equitable access to resources such as land, and promoting agroecological practices and traditional agricultural practices. Again, nowadays we realize the increasing penetration of digital technologies in remote rural areas. So in this case, youth and the women can also be central agents for food sovereignty by leveraging the digital and innovative skill to access market and advocate for changes. The youth can use media campaigns to disseminate success stories on what has been done somewhere else, to encourage other people to engage in agriculture, or to encourage people on the importance of food sovereignty. Also, through social media, we can help to change the traditional narrative on agriculture and make agriculture look sexy in the eyes of the people. Finally, how can local community now influence food policy effectively? We all know that local communities are key to any successful transformation. And in the context of food policy and the agri-food system transformation, local community can effectively influence food policy by building local food systems or establishing grassroots movement that can accelerate the transformation of food system. For instance, we have one famous example, one of the global movement called La Via Campesina, which means the peasant way. This movement advocates for rights of people to access healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through ecologically sound and sustainable methods, as well as their right to define their own food and agricultural system. La Via Campesina emphasizes that diverse, peasant-driven agroecological models of production, grounded in centuries of experience and accumulated evidence, are crucial for ensuring healthy food for everyone while maintaining harmony between nature and the human being. So to achieve food sovereignty, La Via Campesina mobilizes and advocates for agrarian reform in peasant territories, providing training on agroecological production methods. So in this case, in African context, local communities can also initiate and support local initiatives such as community-supported agriculture and urban farming by leveraging both local knowledge and scientific knowledge. This is
Can
the
you
end of
wrap up?
my
Okay.
yeah. This is the end of my reflection. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gabriel Ndimbo. Participants, may I encourage you to type the questions, the comments on the chat box. For collaboration, you can also type in your details, your contact details, your full names and things like that. And again, thank you very much, Dr. Gabriel Ndimbo, for that thought-provoking contribution on issues of food sovereignty, on issues of the social drivers of sustainable food systems, as well as the influence of community on food policy. To build on that, let us now hear from Dr. Jabulani Nyere from Malawi, who brings a technological perspective using geoinformatics for agricultural productivity and sustainability. Dr. Jabulani, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. So I'm Jabulani Nyengere, a lecturer in geoinformatics at Malawi University of Science and Technology. It is my pleasure to celebrate the World Food Day through this discussion. And I'll talk more about how we can integrate data to ensure that we have better food. And
Dr. Jabulani, you are cutting. Dr. Jabu, unfortunately, you are cutting.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We can now hear you. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Thank you Okay, thank you so much. So, based on my expertise, I believe that sustainable agriculture in Africa demands science that serves the people. How can we save the people? It's by trying to bring in the innovations that are taking into account the challenges of the farmers. As such, I talk about three key issues. The first part being the data-driven smallholder farming, the innovations that are there, and again, how could we empower the youth? Based on the aspect that the AI and the geospatial tools are here to stay. All these things will then lead us to a situation where we have a better future. Now, if you can try to think about your farmers right in the field, you notice that most of African countries, including Malawi to be more specific, fertilizer application is done at a bracket recommendation. That ignores some local realities. What am I trying to say? Farmers do apply using a general approach without trying to understand the deficiencies that are there. It is therefore based on the studies being conducted that we need site-specific nutrient management approaches. This causes us to use geoinformatics and soil health mapping, whereby you can understand the levels of nitrogen at each and every place so that we have field level advice that boosts yields and sustainability. All these things involve use of data, and they take us to issues about geoinformatics for precision agriculture. As you can see, there's a drone in my slide. I want to demonstrate that these drones also play a critical role, giving us information about specific places, so that at the end of the day, we would monitor the performance and also see how best can we combine the soil test and the indigenous knowledge. From this, I advocate that there is need to make sure that we have AI-powered digital tools that can help to optimize fertilizer type and quantity, and again, to also see how best to handle the early pace and the climate alerts. In my next slide, I will share with you some of the critical issues that are dealing with what are some of the practical innovations, taking into account the application of geoinformatics, the modern tools, the drones. What can we do? So, with the high prices of fertilizer, we need to answer these questions by bringing in localized innovations. For instance, the fertilizer which I'm showing is a fertilizer developed from urine. This is sustainable and can be accessible at a lower price. So this is the direction whereby if we want to have our farmers produce enough food, we need to make sure that we have some policy shifts that will reward verified soil regeneration practices. We need to subsidize soil collection, like use of organics, the organic fertilizers, live, not necessarily importing the chemical fertilizers. We also need to support local fertilizer branding and the research. So from this slide, I'm trying to advocate for practical innovations. These practical innovations that are cheap, they're also environmentally friendly, that can help the farmers to at least produce enough for them to have enough food and again a better future. Because we need to have food today, we also need to have a future tomorrow whereby they will also be able to produce their own food. In the next slide, I will share with you more about what about the youth? How and why is it that the youth are very critical at this level? My first slide, I brought in issues about geoinformatics. I brought issues about data. Nowadays, we cannot have this data properly without taking into account those that are going to generate and use the data. I'm therefore saying the future of the African agriculture is digital. For the digital aspect, our youth should be well capacitated. We need to have the geospatial labs in the universities that can equip the youth to fly the drones, to use source-specific measurements. They should use the satellite data and the GIS tools that are there. At the end of the day, if we empower the young people, we're going to have localized AI that should provide field data. And the decisions that are going to be made, there will be decisions that are having data-driven and we're able to solve the problem. We should also ensure to make sure that the localized AI solutions should develop local language interfaces. You know, there are different local languages in Africa, Swahili, Chichewa in my country. The farmers should have the tools whereby they're translating these local languages. AI is here to help us with all those things. So these three key things have taken us through what we can do using the data, having the youth that we're having, and again, the innovation. In my concluding remarks, what is it that you can take going to your respective places? We just have to aim that our farming systems should restore the health, empower the communities, and maintain the dignity of the smallholder farmers. And more importantly, we should invest in the youth, not just in the imports, not just trying to import the fertilizer, but also to make sure that the innovations we are bringing in, the youth are taking lead in this. My friend Enoch brought issues about communication. The youth nowadays are more advanced issues of technology, the use of TikTok, all those things. We need to have these youth as agents to make sure that the young scientists and entrepreneurs that are sharing these technologies going beyond. At the end of the day, we need to have the local data that will bring the impact that we need. As I conclude, there is a quote that I've brought that the future of food security will not be imported. It will be mapped, coded, and cultivated by those who knows their soils best. At the end of the day, we'll have a better future while we also have enough food using the data we're having and the youth that are at the center of all these things. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Jabulani. A good reflection on or showing how innovation, localized AI solutions, and data are transforming the way we produce food. And I like the reflection on empowerment of the youth. So we're moving from technology, and now we'll move on to the field itself, where crops, soil, and sustainability intersect. To take us there, we have Dr. Judith Adijok from Nigeria, an agronomist specializing in resilient cropping systems. Dr. Judith, please share your insights. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Judith Adijok Falolala Sokomi from Nigeria. It's an honor to join you on this day, World Food Day 2025. Today, we've come together to reflect on how Africa can build a food secure and climate resilient future, one where farmers are not just surviving, but thriving. So my contribution today is going to be focused on three linked themes, which are weed management, climate adaptation, and bridging research to practice. So for my first slide, which is weed management and food security, let me start by saying that weed management is often the most labor-intensive and yield-limiting challenge for all smallholder farmers, especially in Africa. When fields are poorly managed with weeds, this leads to loss of yields to up to 80% loss, from 50 to 80% actually. And when this happens, it means that there's less income for the farmer, less to eat, less to sell, and that will even lead to them having less to invest in their farm and other businesses. So when this happens, what farmers do is most times they kind of clear new lands, leaving the old land in attempt to run away from the already infested land. That now leads to a problem of deforestation. So sometimes what they do also is to resort to using unsafe herbicides, which they believe that is going to make the do the magic. And most times these herbicides don't just harm them or harm human, they also have negative effects on the environment. So you see, what happens after poor weed management is even far more dangerous than the effect of weed itself. So to change this narrative, we must promote integrated weed management. And what I mean by integrated weed management is we must use a low-cost, smart, safe, and sustainable method or means of controlling weed. So anytime we hear the word integrated weed management, what should come to mind is low-cost, smart, safe, and sustainability. So to do this, there are methods or ways that we can use. First of all, we can have what we call weed competitive crop varieties. These are crop varieties that they can fight or compete with weeds by themselves. We can also use cover crops like leguminous crops like cowpea, soybean, which can help to fight against weed and also control erosion. And also, we can introduce simple weeding tools to reduce stress and time, especially for women and children. Because in Africa, most of the time, women and children are left to do the weeding, even with their bare hand, whether with all cutlasses. So when they are able to manage weed efficiently, and this will give the women and children more time for other things, even in their businesses, in aspects of maybe marketing, sales, and their likes. And this in turn will improve the livelihood of the family. Another thing that we can think of is developing mobile app. Like my brother talked about now, Javulani talked about AI. So we can leverage on these technologies, having mobile apps like apps that can identify weed and actually tells the treatment, recommend a solution, a friendly solution to farmer. This will help the farmer to identify and control weeds safely and precisely. So let me close that topic by saying that managing weeds is not just about clean field, it's about protecting youth, income, and ecology. Now to slide 3, which is about climate adaptation and agronomic innovation. That's the previous slide. So talking about climate adaptation, we must build on what farmers already know and what they practice, because the best results can come from co-creation, not by imposing. So don't impose our new ways, our innovation, our new ideas, our findings in the lab on the farmers. What we do is to kind of adopt what they have and marry it with what we find, and that will make the innovation sustainable. So, because one proven approach is what we call participatory variety selection. This is where farmers themselves test test things like drought tolerance or disease-resistant variety in their own farm, under their own field, under their own condition. So, when we do this, we see that farmers will adopt to whatever innovation that we're bringing. Another one is applying conservation agricultural principles, such as minimum tillage or soil cover, to reduce erosion and retain moisture. So all these are what we can do to help manage our weed efficiently. So finally, we can blend traditional wisdom with science. Practice like intercropping can be enhanced with new tools such as soil testing and precision fertilizer advice. Yes, the goal is not to replace traditional knowledge, but to climate proof it, ensuring productivity and sustainability goes hand in hand. Now, finally, to my last slide, which is research to practice or policy and partnership. The real challenge in Africa agriculture is not the lack of research, no. It's getting those innovations, those ideas, those findings into the farmer's hand. To do this, we need 3 strong policy mechanisms. One, we must revitalize local extension systems. So by doing this, we need to train new set of digital literate extension officers who are willing, but not just willing, they are ready to go to the farm, to the grassroots, to demonstrate innovations right where farmer lives. And 2, they have to reform system so that improved variety, climate resilient varieties can be released faster and distributed widely through public and private channels. Okay, let me just move. Then the third one is smart financing. But let me just go to the last slide where I'm going to close up. So in conclusion, I want to say that African food security depends on the strength of our smallholder farmers, their knowledge, their resilience, and their access to innovation. From better weed control to climate smart agronomy and supportive policy, every action counts, every action matters. So let us continue to connect science with service and then ensure that every research breakthrough reaches the people who need it the most. Because when farmers thrive, nation thrive. Together for a food secure Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Judith, for highlighting how resilient cropping practices are key to sustainability. She also reflected on the integration of modern practices as well as the traditional practices, as well as ensuring that we do take research to people, we do take research to the farmers in order to enhance food production. As we continue exploring the plant-centered approaches, our next speaker is Dr. Juliana Chiboyi from Kenya, who will share her perspectives on the role of plant breeding in advancing food and nutrition security for all. Dr. Juliana, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator, for that kind introduction. I am honored to be part of this discussion today as we celebrate the World Food Day, which is a very important day, basically because we are trying to reflect on our shared responsibilities on how we can contribute for individuals to access safe and nutritious food. As a plant breeder, plant breeding is very key, and it is a tool that we can utilize to improve food and nutrition security. If we only do the plant breeding towards achieving a particular trait, basically, because this is the time we are supposed to rethink how can we do our breeding, and we adopt plant breeding which is demand-led, and also trying to see how we can engage our farmers so that they are part and parcel of this. Through plant breeding, we've managed to develop varieties that can do well in different environments. They're highly nutritious, early maturing, and they can even take shorter time to cook. But the question remains, how comes that we still have issues of food and malnutrition? Is it because the varieties that we develop are still in the shelves? Is it because people are not aware about it? And therefore, we need to have this in mind. There is an African proverb that says, a chameleon changes its color to respond to the earth, but the earth does not change its color to respond to the chameleon. Meaning that the issue of malnutrition and food security are still there. We need to rethink how can we contribute towards this. From my experience working with smallholder communities in Kenya, particularly women who are very key in food choices in our community or in our households, they determine what kind of food we eat. I've seen how plant breeding can transform livelihood and nutrition outcomes. So if we tailor-made our breeding towards achieving the traits that are very key in our communities, then they will add value. Take an example of a crop that is orange flesh sweet potato, which is rich in beta-carotenes. But you find that issues of vitamin A deficiencies are still high among children under 5 and expectant mothers. And therefore, there is need that we create awareness of these particular crops so that the farmers are able to adopt them. And when they have the knowledge, then they can practice and even change their cropping system to diversify their diets and even have an opportunity to have different food choices that they can choose from. And basically, through this, it can improve the diets of the people in the household and the entire Africa. And this will lead to better nutrition. But for sustainability of food and nutrition security, it requires strengthening of partnership among the scientists, the farmers, policymakers, so that we can ensure that every variety that we are able to develop, it is contributing towards health and more resilient and food secure future. I would like to give you a parting shot that a plate of nutritious food is more than a meal, and it is an investment for future generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Juliana. Participants, may I kindly request that you do ask questions, make comments on the chat box. Let us make use of this opportunity to ask questions, to make comments, to make suggestions on the chat box. Thank you so much. And again, thank you very much, Dr. Juliana, for those very insightful reflections on plant breeding and how it contributes to developing resilient and productive crop varieties that are not only resilient or sustainable, but also that contribute to the nutrition of the community. As we move deeper into innovation, we now turn to Dr. Shamala Lubobi, also from Kenya, whose expertise is in plant biotechnology and brings a scientific lens to sustainable crop improvement and food security. Dr. Shamala, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and happy World Food Day. This day reminds us that our food security is not only about producing more, but producing better together. Despite vast natural resources, Africa still imports billions in food annually. Climate change, emerging pests, and degraded soils are undermining the progress. As a biotechnologist, I believe science can be a powerful bridge, linking innovation, local knowledge, and community empowerment. But this only works when we collaborate across sectors and borders.
Yes, Dr. Lubobi.
Let us look at from innovation impact. So across Africa, we have made impressive scientific strides from developing drought-tolerant crops to creating rapid diagnostic kits that protect yields. Yet too often, these innovations remain in journals or research stations or even theses for postgraduate students. Moving from innovation to impact means understanding the farmer's context, ensuring technologies are accessible, affordable, and adaptable. Collaboration between researchers, extension officers, and private sector players can help move biotech from the lab to the field, transforming livelihood. Building trust and capacity. How do we achieve this? Because biotechnology has been seen as a foreign concept. So science alone cannot feed the continent. Trust and capacity are equally vital. Many communities still view biotechnology with uncertainty, sometimes due to misinformation or lack of clear regulation. We must build trust by involving farmers in research design, being transparent about risks and benefits, and communicating in local languages, just as many of speakers before have indicated. Local languages can really help us pass this knowledge of farmers. Capacity building, especially among young scientists, is very important to ensure that Africa's innovations are by Africa and for Africa. Just turn science into shared progress. How do we localize? How do you localize? This knowledge has to be, biotechnology knowledge has to be localized. So we have to tailor biotech local crops and cultures to enable higher adoption of these technologies. Use of genomics and gene editing improve indigenous species that our farmers are familiar with. Combine scientific innovation with traditional knowledge will really help us improve food security in Africa. For example, my gene-based breeding smart resistance when we go to the field, we involve farmers to select those varieties that they need so that we can improve them for their own benefit. Call to action, hand in hand for better future. What do we need to do moving forward? One, we need to invest in African biotechnology capacity rather than importing solutions. Just as Jabulani has indicated, we will not feed Africa by importing these innovations from other continents. We need to develop our own capacity, strengthen partnerships across the continent. We need to work. With other partners in food secure food systems. Ethics and transparency and inclusion is very important because biotech is still being seen as a foreign concept. We need to be ethically right. We need to be transparent in our actions and include all stakeholders when we are developing these technologies. Youth empowerment is key to making sure that these technologies are adopted by our farmers. Thank you so much. Back to you, the moderator.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Shamala, for that engaging discussion on biotechnology and crop innovation. We are now shifting from the crops to livestock, and we'll now hear from Dr. Alassane Seydou from Benin, whose work focuses on climate-smart livestock systems and the management of pastoral resources. Dr. Alassane, please share your insights. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. As we talk about better foods and a better future, livestock system must be part of this conversation, but not a problem, but a solution. And deep in Africa, livestock support nutrition, livelihood, and soil fertility. At the same time, it also contributes to greenhouse gas emission. Therefore, the key challenge is to balance the productivity with the sustainability. And that requires working hand in hand across science, policy, and farming community. First of all, animal feed generate better food and better animal feed makes better food by using a locally improved animal nutrition, reduce enteric methane per kilogram of meat or milk, and cut the feed costs. As a result, we obtain more affordable animal source foods with a smaller environmental footprint. To achieve this vision, we must work hand in hand across all world, hand in hand with farmers to work hand in hand through participatory feeding, trial, and capacity building. Work also hand in hand with researchers by integrating animal science, agronomy, and climate research. Work also hand in hand with policymakers to ensure that local innovation inform national livestock policies. Also work hand in hand with young and women to empowering them in sustainable feed production and agribusiness. So when farmers, scientists, and policymakers move together, we create not just a food security, but also a food sovereignty. So the future of food depends on our soils and our people. That is why by working hand in hand, we can build a livestock sector that strictly nourishes both people and the planet. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alassane. Thank you for sharing your insights on livestock systems and their role in resilient food production, and most importantly, on reflecting the importance of working hand in hand, the importance of partnership in ensuring sustainable livestock systems. As we now turn from land to water, we welcome Dr. Miriam from Ghana, a fisheries specialist who will discuss sustainable fisheries and the blue economy. Dr. Miriam will emphasize the importance of building sustainable and inclusive food systems. Dr. Miriam, kindly take it from here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. To start with, I'll focus on how the health of aquatic ecosystems can affect food security. Aquatic organisms provide protein for millions of people globally, and their health determines the quality and quantity of food we get from them. When we talk about the health of aquatic ecosystems, it refers to the state of these ecosystems in efficiently delivering their functions and services. Each aquatic ecosystem has its peculiar functions and services it provides, and hence its peculiar optimum conditions that it needs. Aquatic organisms need the right environment within which to flourish to provide food that we need. The primary producers in aquatic systems are the primary food source for aquatic animals, and there are right conditions within which they can multiply without becoming a problem. However, when the conditions are altered through pollution caused by human activities, their multiplication goes out of control, and all other organisms in the ecosystem suffer for it through stress due to low oxygen or even suffocation, resulting in fish kills, and that is food loss. Fish also need an environment with the right conditions to be able to reproduce. An example is the right temperature range to trigger egg laying. The effect of climate change on our aquatic environment, resulting in increasing temperatures, disorganizes these intrinsic clocks, and this affects reproductive activity of some fish species. The health of the fish environment also affects the quantity of eggs it can produce, and when the environment is good, more eggs are produced and spawn. When fishes lay eggs and hatch them, a healthy ecosystem is needed with the right conditions for the fries to grow to finally become food on our table. There are essential fish habitats that are necessary for specific life stages of fish species. These habitats play important roles in the development and sustainability of fish stocks, and they are used as nurseries, spawning, and feeding grounds. Examples of such habitats are seagrass beds, coral reefs, mangroves, rocky reefs, and other sheltered habitats. When such habitats are compromised through human threats, such as infrastructural development and pollution, it poses a threat to biodiversity and in effect food security. Pollution, can we go to the second slide? Pollution also affects the safety of our seafood. When we pollute our aquatic ecosystems with plastics and other toxic substances, we are not only polluting the ecosystem, but also polluting the seafood that end up on our tables. Seafood from a polluted aquatic ecosystem become unwholesome, and eating it becomes detrimental to our health. So on health short in providing the protein we need. So let's move on to innovations in sustainable fisheries and aquaculture that holds potential for local communities. To make our fisheries sustainable starts from fisheries management. And in fisheries management, it is not fish that is managed, but the people who exploit the resources. For fisheries management to use the best results, authority and decision-making must be shared with the government and then the resource users. The local community must lead the implementation of decisions taken to ensure inclusion and compliance. This bottom-up approach, referred to as community-led fisheries co-management, holds the greatest potential for local communities, in my opinion. Research may be done by government authorities, yes, but the strategy should be formulated together with the community and implementation led by the local communities. When it comes to aquaculture, can we move? When we come to aquaculture, there have been a number of innovations to make aquaculture production system efficient and putting resource to best use. There's the tarpaulin tanks that allows for efficient space use, the biofloc system converting waste to useful resource, There's also the RAS that allows for efficient use of water. But in my opinion, for local communities, the aquaponics system holds the greatest potential. This system produces animals and plants at the same time. So waste from fish enriches the water. The plants then utilizes the nutrients for growth, thereby cleaning and enriching the water for the fish. So at the end, the system not only gives the farmer fish, but also edible plants. So moving on to my last point, can we move to the next slide? How coastal and inland communities can collaborate for integrated land water food systems. Inland and coastal communities can work together in managing land water food systems through the formation of collaborative management groups to champion the protection and sustainable use of these food systems. These groups will provide the opportunity for land and water resource users to learn about how each system functions by leveraging on traditional knowledge in fishing and crop farming. In addition to research, communities can better understand how actions in one system can affect the productivity of the other system and how global issues like climate change are affecting the land food systems. This can be done through education using the group platforms, as my communication experts mentioned. Understanding how the systems function could produce collective actions that will seek to promote the health of these systems. Possible actions could be nutrient recycling, where farm waste is not just dumped around to end up in rivers through runoffs, but processed into resource. Pesticides and fertilizers are used in minimal doses to lower concentration in runoffs. So that they don't pollute aquatic ecosystems. Other actions could be planning for climate adaptation together, and this will make these communities more resilient to climate change. Thank you. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miriam, for highlighting the crucial role of fisheries and community engagement in sustainable food systems. Dr. Miriam also reflected on important issues that affect the health of fisheries, including climate change and pollution. And interestingly, you have given us as much to think about regarding the role of aquatic resources in food security. And it's also very provoking for us to be thinking about issues of pollution, to be thinking about issues of climate change, which we can actually change in line with the health of fisheries. Let me once again thank you so much to all the panelists for your insightful presentations. We can now move into the questions and answer sessions, which will be conducted entirely through the chat box. So colleagues, participants who have joined us, please once again, put your questions, put your comments on the chat box, and the panelists will address them. We already have quite a number of questions that have been asked, and Dr. Jabulani will portray that.
So hi, everyone. The number of questions, as the moderator is saying, so I'll hand it over to the moderator to take us through the questions and facilitate the discussion. Over to you, our moderator.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Jabulani, and thank you, participants, for the questions that are here. Thank you very much for bringing the great intellectuals together on this important day to shape the food policy, to shape partnerships across Africa, to shape issues of food innovation across Africa. Colleagues, may I kindly request that you mute your microphones so that we continue smoothly. Let us mute the microphones. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, it is important to emphasize that communication is very important in enhancing food security in Africa. And most farming communities in Africa are often very much isolated from consumers. I think that is more of a comment than anything. And it often takes communication to expose abundant food in those communities for the city centers. That is a reflection that goes back to what was presented by Dr. Enoch and what would have been presented by Dr. Ololade on issues of mass mass media communication on issues of capacity building for the farmers and the communities in order to ensure sustainable food production as well as sustainable consumption of food. May we go back to the slide, please, for the questions, comments? Dr. Jabulani, may you project? And as you project, also check on for other questions. Dr. Jabulani, you are not projecting.
Can you see my slide?
It has not yet started sharing.
What about there?
I can see it here. Can you kindly put it on slideshow? Okay, interestingly, there's an important question there that goes, I think, to everyone who is in this room to say, what are we not doing right as Africans? What are we not doing right? We have the land, we have the good climate, among other resources. We have so many resources in Africa. What do you think, in your expert's view, could be done as a key solution? I think this question, I'll take it to Dr. Alassane.
All right, I want to say something.
Okay, Dr. Enoch, you can have that reflection. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I think that what we are not doing right as a continent is our inability to partner with ourselves or the other key stakeholders in ensuring food security. Because, for instance, the extension agent can just go and be giving out information without being resourced from maybe a researcher. The input dealer can just go and produce some fertilizers and think that, okay, that is good for everybody, so they start selling. We have missed the point of working with other people, the key actors, the people whose brains or whose minds, when we bring together, can ensure that we have food security. A lot of times we try to work alone. And so looking at the theme for this year's World Food Day, working hand in hand, I think that could be one of the key solutions to ensure that we have food security in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Enoch, reflecting on that issue of what are we not doing right. So basically it takes us to the theme of the day. We are not collaborating as researchers. We are not partnering with the community. We are not partnering with the farmers. We are not partnering with like everyone everyone who is on the food value chain is working in silos, is working in isolation. There is no partnership in Africa, and we really need to work hard into this. We need to employ interdisciplinary methods as well as participatory methods as researchers to ensure that we do take everyone on board and work together. I think these questions are more general. They can be really answered by any of the experts in the room. There's an issue of having land, having good climate, having good the resources, but not producing enough. How can you reflect on that, Dr. Jabulani?
Yeah, so thank you so much. I will start with the previous question. Yeah, my colleague handled it quite well. I just wanted to add something extending to the fact that we are in a situation whereby the different modern technologies, the coming in of AI, I think what Africa is not doing right now is making sure that we have data that can help us to make informed decisions. So I think we need to move a step ahead to make sure that the governments, the different stakeholders that are there coming together, making data more available, that decisions can be made. So we also need not to be too slow in adopting modern technologies. You'd hear some other corners that are still not embracing the technology. We need to move faster such that we can at least bring the precision agriculture issues right on hand. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But for us to promote food security at the expense of food sovereignty, to a certain extent, you tend to understand that, okay, we need to have a good balance. We need to strike a balance between the interest to produce more and again also to have a sustainable environment. So this goes to what I indicated in my presentation, that we need to have organic farming taken seriously. We have what it takes. If we embrace this and make sure that there is support in terms of research for these fertilizers, we'll not be importing more. So these agricultural programs, when they're promoting food security, they should also make sure that the environment is checked. And I think Gabriel explained in detail about this to make sure how best can we balance these two things. So I feel if we take these on board, issues about AI, making the data available, and again, also environmentally friendly initiatives, we're going to have a better future while we're also meeting the needs for today for the food we want. Over to you, moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that reflection, Dr. Jabu. Thank you so much. And I think another question that is over there is more directed to Dr. Gabriel. Do donor-driven agricultural programs promote food security at the expense of food sovereignty? Dr. Gabriel, may you kindly reflect on that?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me try to respond to this question. Do donor-driven agricultural programs promote food security at the expense of food sovereignty? Yes, actually, this is quite true based on my own understanding, because food sovereignty is not just a matter of having food. Food sovereignty is a matter of having food which is culturally appropriate, which is produced in our own environment, and so forth. So such kind of donor-driven agricultural programs, they bring everything from their own. So the day they say that we don't want to give you this, it means you get lost. So that is why we need food sovereignty, where all efforts needed to transform agriculture come from our own initiative, not brought from abroad or brought from other continents. So I really agree with this statement that donor-driven agricultural programs can somehow help to promote food security, but it can constrain the issue of food sovereignty. As we also see nowadays, we import food maybe from European countries or Asian countries. That is one of our main challenge. And we feel like, okay, we are okay by importing, but we forget that we are not doing very well in investing on our own people, something that can constrain. As we can see, one example during the Russia-Ukraine war, most countries which rely on wheat from Ukraine suffered a lot with issues of food insecurity, and that affected our own freedom to eat what we want and do whatever we want. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gabriel. That is very true. We need to be producing for ourselves as Africa, because we have the resources, we have the rains, we have the land. So that's a good reflection. Thank you so much, Dr. Gabriel. Now to Dr. Miriam, there's a question that is directed to you, and an appreciation of the education that went through. Yes, please, may I kindly request that you type on the chat box, just so that we can have a controlled discussion. Thank you so much for your understanding. So Dr. Miriam, how can we consumers be able to identify unhealthy fish and fish products from our polluted Ghanaian waters that end up in the market centers?
Okay, thank you for the question. In some cases where there are bacterial infections from the environment, this can be observed on the fish, like lesion, maybe like sores on the fish. But in most cases, nothing is visible on the fish, and that's where the danger is. The fish looks good, but most of these pollutants in the environment may be taken up by the fish. So it's stored in the tissue of the fish, which the consumer cannot see. The consumer consumes it, and then it ends up in health. The danger is, and that is why we must keep our environments clean. We should not pollute our aquatic ecosystem, because when the fish is in the market, you cannot see. You cannot determine that it's coming from a polluted system or the fish is polluted. A risk to our health. So we must do all that we can to keep our aquatic environments clean and not pollute them with toxic substances. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that reflection, Dr. Miriam. This is a very important issue, because really we can be intoxicated by the fish that we are consuming because it is not safe for consumption. And this is where also we need to intensify the standards, the quality standards within the food value chain. And this is also where we need to work hand in hand, partner together in the food value chain to ensure that the food that is eaten is sustainable, not only nutritious, but also it's safe for consumption. Thank you so much, participants, for those very important questions and comments. The next comment, I think doing much effort on precision agriculture can really boost our productivity, but this calls for much farming capital as well, which is a problem for most of the farmers. I think this is also a takeaway for us as researchers, a takeaway for us as those who are in the food value chain, or all the role players, the stakeholders in the agricultural food system, to say what is it that can be done, what is it that can be adopted, what is it that needs to be adopted, and if it's good for production, if it's adopted, what then can we do to ensure that the farmers do adopt such practices. I think this can be maybe answered by Dr. Jabulani.
Yeah, so thank you so much. This is quite interesting, and it speaks more in terms of how best do we embrace technology. To be more emphatic on this, you would agree with me that such technologies really require a lot of resources. However, these are activities that can be done once off. For instance, if studies on spatial heterogeneity are conducted, you'll be able to see at what distance are the properties varying. Specifically, how best would we advise the farmers? So for us to address this as Africans and again the nations, what we're supposed to do is to make sure that the government is putting their priorities right and straight, such that they should invest more to make sure that we understand the soil health of different areas, such that the farmers should not be the ones to conduct such type of heavy technology-driven research, but they should be the government, the universities, and again, even the NGOs that are working there. The target should not just be to provide food for the people, to make sure that we bring handouts, but again, to provide this information. So it's a call to action to say this is the direction, the farmers should have the information. And the information should come from the government, and again, the research that must be done. Again, we need to go down to say, after having such information, we need to dilute it. We need to make sure that we communicate with the farmers. The farmers should know that in the northern part of Malawi, southern part of Nigeria, western part of Kenya, we're supposed to apply this type of fertilizer. At the end of the day, we're going to have the technology well embraced with the needs of the farmers. So yeah, I think I wanted to contribute on that, but it's really, really important to appreciate the heavy capital needs and try to find a better way. Thank you. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Jabulani, for that valuable contribution. And you also bringing in an important perspective of the food aid that we are having. What are we getting from these countries? What are we getting from our food aids? Are we really getting good foods? Are we getting the good seeds? That is also a very good a good reflection. We do have a comment or more of an answer to the question that was asked by Boniface. Sam is reflecting on that, saying that your question on food traceability, particularly for fish from producer to the consumer, is critical. In many African regions, the lack of clear, effective systems to ensure traceability remains a significant challenge for our generation. That's a very good contribution, Sam. So also that is something that we need to reflect on as panelists, as experts, as researchers, and everyone who contributes to the food system. What is it that can be done to ensure traceability of the food that the consumers do consume at the end of the day? Because it is our responsibility to ensure that the food is traceable. It is our responsibility to ensure that the food is safe for consumption. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we do have only 1 minute to take one more question if we do have questions. Any more questions from the chat box, Dr. Jabulani?
Hello, the moderator, can I have some comments?
Okay, we'll allow one comment, yes, in the 1 minute.
Yeah, just to add on what we're not doing right as Africa, when it comes to food production. I think we are over-reliance on rain-fed agriculture. And with climate change, this is not going to be effective for most of African countries. and we may end up, will continue suffering on issues on when it comes to issues of food security. And another thing is we have invested and investment in agricultural research and innovation. Again, if you look at our research, depends on donors. We have to write proposals, go abroad to get money, and you realize most of them, the objectives may not really favor the African systems. I think that is what we are, how we're doing, we're getting it wrong.
Thank you so much for that reflection. Do you want to continue, Dr. Lubobi?
No. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for exchanging that discussion. And that is also a very good reflection on really what are we doing? What are we doing right? What are we not doing right? So it takes us back to the theme of the day, hand in hand for better foods and a better future. So ladies and gentlemen, this is all upon us. It's upon every individual to ensure that we do have sustainable food production systems, to ensure that we are also sustainable consumers. So let me thank you, the audience, for your thoughtful questions, and our panelists for their insights. Please make sure that technical stuff, please make sure that you do get the contacts for, there are some participants who indicated that they need the slides to be shared. So please take those contacts. And let me also thank the panelists for their insights. Thank you so much for your engagement. Your engagement has really made today's discussion richer and more impactful. We are now moving to the concluding remarks. Let me just switch on my video so that you can see the face behind the voice. So this is Dr. Pearl again, Dr. Pearl Lefadola from University of Botswana. And as we conclude, today has shown that building sustainable, resilient food systems requires collaboration across the disciplines. And our questions really have indicated that. From science to agriculture to communication to community engagement, we really need to work together. On this World Food Day, themed Hand in Hand for Better Food and a Better Future, let us continue to work together to ensure healthy, equitable, and sustainable food for all. Thank you so much for joining us and for your commitment to a better food future. Happy World Food Day. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, the world. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Good night. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for the appreciation. I do see hands clapping. Thank you so much. And again, happy World Food Day. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, colleagues. At this point, I'll request that only the panelists do remain behind as we get the contacts. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you, Dr. Miriam. Thank you all. Thank you so much, panelists. As we continue to wait for our guests to exit. Thank you so much, Sam. Okay, we'll wait for a few of the guests to exit. Panelists, as you wait. Thank you so much for joining, Prof. Ketile. We appreciate you. Thank you, Leslie.
Yes,
thank you.
thank
Thank you, Zakile.
Our moderator, I think we have almost everyone.
Almost
In
everyone,
terms
but
of
I
the
I
panelists.
do see a few other colleagues who are still here. But anyway,
Okay, so
colleagues, I just wanted to say a big thank you to every one of you. Thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you for spending long hours. And for our technical team, thank you so much, Dr. Jake. You did a wonderful job. I don't know what this could be without you. Technology can always be an issue, and you did a great job. Thank you so much all for your contributions. We really do appreciate you. And thank you so much for making sure that the World Food Day becomes a success. And happy World Food Day. We'll continue the discussion on our WhatsApp group. Please make sure that you get all the details of those who indicated the email addresses so that we can share. I do see Sam. Okay, only do see Sam. So I hope that's captured.
Okay, so I've also captured all the comments. I've made a brief report which I'm to share with you and everyone through the WhatsApp group.
That's great.
So that we can appreciate what people are saying. It was really wonderful to get the feedback.
Yeah. That is so good. And I think the report will also help in the sense of, can we stop the recording?